of course, want to see what happens with CM Punk going forward, and I can't wait. Let's get into the other free agent who's not a free agent anymore. Randy Orton signs with Friday Night Smackdown. We saw in last week's Raw where he was like, I'm gonna finish this storyline with the Bloodline, right? Like I'm gonna go after them. And he had that rub up with Jey Uso where we were like, oh, he's gonna screw over Jey in some capacity, right? Did not happen. He ended up going to Friday Night Smackdown, making his intentions clear. He's heading after Roman Reigns, Daddy's home. Doing that whole angle, but it looks like he's having a signing with Friday Night Smackdown, RKOing Nick Aldis. So there's that element of the GM and Randy Orton bumping heads a little bit there, which could be interesting. I like with Nick Aldis on SmackDown so far. It's going to be interesting if he's going to be a heel or a face or what he's going to do along the lines. But continuing that, he had a tag team match against Jimmy Uso and Solo, and his tag team partner was LA Knight. Another person who has been battling the Bloodline, has been making a name for himself on his own. They tag and get the win against those guys, but there's also a little bit of heat between those two now. It looks like the LA Knight and Randy Orton. But what do you guys think? Orton officially signing with SmackDown and going after the Bloodline?
It was a reasonable direction to go in. Seeing as, if you look at the way the story plays out, it was the Bloodline that took out Randy Orton, and I kind of had a feeling that as soon as he came back, they were immediately gonna jump into that feud in a sense, kind of like wrap it up. Therefore giving Orton the title shot at the Rumble, presumably. I'm assuming that's where this is going, but from a selfish standpoint, I'm just glad Randy Orton is back in general. You see, now that he's being inserted into this feud, I kind of had a feeling in the back of my mind that as soon as Randy Orton came back and he did go with SmackDown, that I was kind of afraid that LA Knight was going to be kind of like pushed to the side, because he was kind of like the main guy kind of going after the Bloodline right now. But by putting them in this tag team match, obviously they're still keeping in mind that LA Knight is still hot. So therefore, tagging him with Orton to kind of keep this Bloodline story is the best direction to go. But I love what we're getting. I love the little interactions that we're getting with Randy Orton and Nick Aldis. We saw Randy Orton give him an RKO, probably pretty much as a way to remind him that, like, yeah, I'm back and I'm signed with you, and I'm signed with you now, and this is what you're gonna get when you sign. And I love when he gave him the check for the fine, which was half more, just to tell him next time. So because
it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen again. So here, take that. But I'm just glad that Randy Orton's back, and that they're kind of continuing in this direction. It's unfortunate what ended up happening to Matt Riddle for him to get released a couple of months ago. Obviously, still having him around with RK Bro would have really helped this story. But like I said, just glad to have Orton back in the title picture, and we're gonna get a good title match at the Royal Rumble out of it. So can't complain about that.
Yeah, it's definitely great to see Randy back, healthy, big as shit, cut, and just like looks, dominant. And to see what he's gonna do with Roman, I think is gonna be really good. I don't know why in my thought I was like, oh wait, why wouldn't Randy be in the Rumble? And I'm like, oh, because he probably needs somebody to face. Roman needs somebody to face at the Rumble, so I'm like, that makes more sense. Which if Randy was in the Rumble, that'd be like such a huge pop. But
it would.
But
it's not going to be Kevin Owens at the Rumble again. 3 years in a row.
Oh my god!
Kevin Owens himself said he knows that people are getting tired of seeing him and Roman Reigns. So.
Yeah. Whoa! I love those.
I feel like there was like good 4.
Those matches were good.
I'm like going at it. My god! I was like, was it the Rumble where he hit him with the golf cart?
Yes, that was one of their Rumble matches. Yes, one of them.
I was like, got it. And then they cuffed him, and I was like, no. It was a last man standing match, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was last man standing. Yeah.
I was so mad.
In the Thunderdome, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, they did that. That was probably one of the few great matches from that time because I still really remember that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, happy about Randy. They've reintroduced him beautifully. From War Games to what he's doing now on SmackDown. Makes sense that obviously he would go after the people who took him out. Part of me still thought he was gonna give Jay an RKO there, but
as a parting gift, as a parting gift, at least.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, you guys kind of said it all. It's great to have Randy back, and we're definitely gonna get some great spots, and hopefully we get to see more of him before. We don't know how much more he's gonna be doing. I mean, he honestly seems ageless, but obviously after an injury like that, people are aging and their bodies can only do this for so long. So hopefully, I would love to see one more Randy title reign. It's not going to mean anything, but I think for what he's done and who he is, I feel like he could easily get another title reign. So I know it probably, like Brian was talking about with like LA Knight and him, there's just people coming back. Everything's just so stacked. It's like there's so many ways things could go right now. And me and Brian are the same. I'm definitely an LA Knight guy. I feel like he has lost a little bit of steam, but with him tagging with Randy, still keeping him in that, like, hey, you're still up here, being considered. But if his time comes, it's definitely not happening until after WrestleMania. So,
yeah, for LA Knight's perspective, I just don't know. Like, you can't battle Randy Orton career-wise. And especially the way he's coming back, and especially we don't know how much time we have with Randy and stuff like that. He talked about in an interview, speaking of Matt Riddle, I think I saw the quote where he was like, "Thank you, Matt Riddle, for that time period we're tagging, because you took a lot of brunt of the work in those tag matches. That kind of preserved my body a little bit, saved me." I think he was talking about, was that Logan Paul's?
Yeah, I think he interviewed him.
I'm gonna watch it, but I've seen like little clips and stuff like that. But he's saying that pretty much gave him a little bit more longevity and rejuvenated his body a little bit. He still got hurt, unfortunately, but just doing that tagging, teaming, and with Matt Riddle, and Brian was right. If Matt Riddle was still around, that would add another partner to him going up against the Bloodline. So who knows? Maybe Matt Riddle will be back. I don't know what capacity his situation is or what's happening, but hopefully something happens there. But speaking on Randy Orton, it's good to see him back as always. I would have loved to see him in the Rumble, because the Rumble would have just been even more stacked with more people. But if he's going after Roman, it's only the right choice. And Roman comes back this Friday to address all this. So that's going to be interesting to see how that comes full circle and wraps up there. Moving on to another person who has just been on a